Okay, guys. Well, I've been kicking around this idea for a while to do a podcast, and I talked to a couple of people that I wanted to partner up with it. And timing has not been anybody's friend. At one point, I wanted to do it with my dad, and I'm still kind of hoping that we can pull that off, but it's a matter of timing and how busy he is and how psychotically busy I get sometimes. So, this is my attempt at just getting started. That's the thing. At this point, it's a matter of build first, design later. I don't have everything set up the way I want it set up. I don't have the equipment that I need set up. I'm sitting out here at George Bush Park, and some guy launched a rocket that looked like Kim Jong-un launched it. It just kind of made this circular movement and straight down. I find humor in the funniest thing, in the strangest things. So, I don't have anything set up the way I want it set up, but at this point I'm just build first, design later. And so what I'm probably going to be doing, and then again probably not, depending on how this thing behaves. Well, crap, this sucks. Probably what I will be doing is figuring out some way to just have something to do here in this sort of podcast type setup. What I'm aiming at right now is I'm just going to answer questions that I find on Quora or Reddit or Facebook or whatever, just random questions as I find them. And I'll save them and probably week to week try to do a show, smoke a cigar, have something to drink, and probably find something to talk about. I don't have a whole lot to talk about. Today I'm going to be smoking, as soon as I get it out of the wrapper here. It's been sitting in this travel humidor a friend of mine made me. Put my logo on it, which was actually really cool. I'm very pleased with it. I enjoy it. It's been sitting in there. I probably put too much water in the humidifier. But I'm going to be smoking today Joya de Nicaragua Antaño, Connecticut wrapper. This CT here means Connecticut. I prefer Connecticut. It's a lighter cigar, easier to smoke. I picked a hell of a time to start this. I see rain there and rain there. Lightning, and I'm hearing thunder. This is wonderful. Well, when one thing goes bad, it all goes bad. Screw it, I'm going to do this anyway. And just enjoy my day as much as I can. I like to V-cut my sticks. This was recommended to me by a guy in Stogie's over here off Westheimer in Houston. I'm going to check it out. And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and fire up my first question. Pardon the really crappy production design. I'm still learning this whole program here. What is it called? OBS. Open Broadcasting Software. Let's see here. There we go. So, and the first question asks, how do narcissists reconcile their contention that they are superior beings, on one hand? However, on the other hand, they are dependent on the acquisition of narcissistic supply from outside sources to feel good about themselves. Okay, well, these are just questions that I'm finding on. That was a question on Quora. I have spent a lot of time thinking about narcissism, how it interacts with society, as an entity unto itself. Each person I've come across who's a narcissistic person, they are their own individual. Every one of them is different. But narcissistic personality disorder and narcissism itself seems to be somewhat predictable in an unpredictable way. I'm not a psychologist. I call myself a narcissist. I call myself a primal behavior specialist. And essentially what that is I study behavior on a primal level. I study behavior to see how it can be modified in the most permanent way possible. Mostly it comes from working with animals. That has taught me quite a bit on the subject of human behavior. Working with particularly canine animals, dogs and cows. One thing that I learned is that as humans we have a canine primal behavioral profile. The question, how does a narcissist reconcile their idea that they are superior with their need or their dependence on narcissistic supply? Oh, we're getting really crappy work here. So they don't ever really have to reconcile it. The idea that they are superior appears to be just an idea. Not even one that they believe, technically. Not fully, not completely. It appears that narcissism or it appears to me, technically a layman, that narcissism is an attempt to compensate for feeling very shitty about oneself. And so the idea that they think that they are superior I think cognitively they know they are not superior, but they need to convince themselves that they are so as to combat the feelings of shame that are actually the root of narcissism. Narcissists are by nature shameful and fearful. They're scared shitless of your autonomy. And they are, at the same time, deeply obsessed with their own. And it appears that the narcissist idea that they are superior is, like I said, just an idea. And They use their need for narcissistic supply. They use their dependence on narcissistic supply as a way to convince themselves, or attempt to convince themselves, because they're never really fully convinced, as a way to attempt at convincing themselves that they are superior, that they don't need you. You ever been down that road where you tell yourself something like, I'm good, I'm okay, I know what I need to know, I know what I need to know about this subject, I'm good at this, and deep down you know you're not? The narcissist lives like that. We, normal people, we tend to have our moments like that. A narcissist lives like that every single day of their life. And so they have to keep convincing themselves because they feel like shit about themselves. So on one hand, on one hand, I wouldn't call it a contention that they are superior to you. I would say that it's a wish that they were superior. And that wish, on one hand, is met, on the other hand, with a need for a manifestation that proves to them that they are superior. They don't ever really have to reconcile the two. Can I take him home? Okay, so I'm going to head on to the next question here. Next question is, what are the weaknesses of being human? What are the weaknesses of being human? Well, where do you start? Pride, arrogance. Pride and arrogance are probably the two major weaknesses, I would say. You got plenty of weaknesses. I mean, as a human, jeez, we are incredibly weak as humans. What the hell is that? Some kind of green spider. I've never seen nothing like it before. Very translucent. So, what are the weaknesses of being human? That's a funny question. We are remarkably weak by nature. But I would have to say that our greatest weaknesses are arrogance, pride, self-sufficiency to a certain degree, while at the same time the lack of it. Moderation. I would say a lack of moderation is our greatest weakness, because we don't know when to stop. We don't know when to stop trying to be strong. And this can be very dangerous, I think. And it can be dangerous to us, it can be dangerous to our families, and it can be dangerous to our society if we convince ourselves we're stronger than we really are. Our greatest weakness is our delusion that we're strong. I would have to say, yeah, I think that's the best answer that I have right there. That Our greatest weakness as humans is the delusion that we are strong. So our next question, it's probably going to be the shortest question that I have. Next question is, what if I'm right and people think I'm wrong? Who is actually right? Curious, please don't start attacking me. Okay. So, again, wow, many of these questions are kind of following along the same theme of pride and narcissism. What if I'm right and everybody else just thinks I'm wrong? Who is actually right? I think that's the wrong question. It's not a matter of who's right. It's a matter of what's right. And once you start thinking about I'm right and everybody else is wrong, you start running a pretty hefty risk of digging a hole for yourself. And I understand the concept of the question. Not to proselytize or anything like that. I'm a Christian. And I grew up on the book of Proverbs. And there's a scripture in there. It says, there is a way that seems right to a man, but the end is the way of death. And you don't have to believe in God. You don't have to be a Christian or anything like that. But my opinion of how that applies here is, if you get too obsessed with being right, if you get too obsessed with being right, you will never grow. You'll stop growing. You'll become stagnant. If the question that you're always asking is whether or not you're right and everybody else is wrong, then what's the point of interacting with people in general? If you've convinced yourself you're right and everyone else is wrong, what's the point of interacting with people at all? Because if you're not willing to learn, then you've gone as far as you can go in this thing called life. I know some people who are highly convinced that they are absolutely right. And because they're always right, their life goes nowhere, regardless of how far they think it's gone. And I personally have been down that road. I'm constantly having to fight that battle. I'm damn sure I'm right. I'm damn sure I'm right. And I'm not willing to learn. I end up homeless again. I was homeless 3 times that I can recall. Once during the wintertime, I slept in a storage unit. No insulation whatsoever. Once during Hurricane Harvey. Then once just before Ike. And the reason my life kept making this pattern going back to that was because I was not willing to learn. And the few teachers that I had were the type that were only looking to destroy me. And because I hadn't learned anything up until that point, I didn't know who to listen to. I convinced myself I was willing to learn, but I wasn't. And that's when things get very dangerous. So it's getting kind of windy. I'm going to turn this mic down. I'm going to try to talk up a little bit. It's getting kind of windy. I'm having a hard time shielding the mic. But let me go into the next question here. Okay. Have you found that in trying to expose a narcissist, not one person cares about the proof that you have? They just see you desperately trying to defend yourself, and because you're defending yourself, you seem like the guilty one. Yes. Next question. Okay, well, let's see here. Yes. But now you have to ask yourself, what do you do about it? Let's see here. I'm going to put this in here like this. Questions. Okay, I just had to update something real quick. Okay. Let's see. Yes, absolutely. And the reason that that happens is because the narcissist is so confident in their position, and they've had a lot of practice. Now you go into a situation with a narcissist, you think you can beat them. I promise you, you can't, because they've been doing this their entire life. You haven't. You haven't. And so, I just want to see how. Okay. You haven't been doing this your entire life, so you don't even know what the hell you're doing when it comes to interacting with them, or proving them wrong, or exposing them. Don't bother with trying to expose a narcissist. Your best bet is to just move on. If you don't, you're going to find yourself so engulfed in your need for revenge that you will accomplish absolutely zero. And I know that from personal experience. And not only that, you'll be wasting your time planning out revenge. You'll be wasting your time thinking about ways to expose them. You'll be wasting your time thinking about ways to make them look bad. And in the meantime, they're sitting back there while you're doing that, laughing at you. And the reason that they're laughing at you is because one of the greatest practices of the narcissist is that the few friends that they have that last the longest, these are true believers in everything that they are. Not only do they listen to them, not only do they listen to them, not only do they listen to the narcissist, but to them, there is no truth except that which is spoken by that narcissist. In some cases, particularly in the religious realm, The narcissist might even have his own worshipers. It's not worth your time, your energy, your effort, or your life to attempt to expose a narcissist. What is worth your time, energy, effort, and life is to grow in your own way, in your own passions, in your own interests, as far as you possibly can. My interest in philosophy and psychology and cigars and dogs and music, entertainment, writing. These are things where I choose to grow, regardless of the fact that I've had some of the worst narcissistic abuse of anybody I've ever met who has been abused by narcissists. The myriad of people online who have put out a lot of information that they've experienced from narcissists, they've suffered abuse, yeah. But many of them become so obsessed with and so bitter from what they've experienced that they're not willing to let it go, and they're not willing to live a better life of their own. And so they become somewhat obsessed with either revenge or keeping other people from being hurt, or whatever their excuses are going to be, because it's going to be a lot of excuses in that area. Oh, I don't want people to get hurt by this person again. Yeah. In the meantime, you're enacting evil and cruelty. You're enacting evil and cruelty in hopes that you can dish back some of that damage that's been done to you. And it's not worth it. So the question about what do you do when you're the one who sees the narcissist for who they are and everybody else thinks you're crazy? What do you do is you just see them for who they are and move on. That's it. Don't waste your time. It's not worth it. I know all you can hear is wind now. Wow. I don't know if this helps. But so like I said, at this point I'm just trying it out. I haven't. Oh, okay. Well, see, that's not too bad. Okay. All the muting and all that. Okay. So, next question. Okay, and this is the last one that I had selected. How does the existence of psychopaths present a dilemma for moral realists who maintain that human beings have an inherent moral intuition? Ooh. That's a good question. How does the existence of psychopaths affect the... It's getting windy. Okay. I'll go back there real quick. That's an interesting question. How does the existence of the existence of psychopaths present a dilemma for moral realists who maintain that human beings have an inherent moral intuition? Okay, well, this is it's starting to rain a little bit. This is interesting. It's not so much, well, you know what, it's starting to rain. I'm going to go ahead and shut it down for now, and maybe later on, maybe another day, I'll come back and I'll do it again. Kind of sucks. I was kind of enjoying it. Gives me an opportunity to do some thinking, which I don't actually get a chance to do. And I don't have any, I got really bad social skills, so this is kind of part of the reason I wanted to just jump on this instead of waiting for someone to join me. But anyway, y'all have fun, don't kill nobody, and if it's too late, I know people. Have fun. Okay. Hang on. Yeah. Bye.